All right, let's talk about the global AI landscape. There are the usual suspects, of course, but today we are diving into a market that's quietly becoming a massive powerhouse in generative AI. We're talking about Vietnam. And trust me, the data tells a story of explosive growth that is absolutely going to get your attention. So let's get right into it. Okay, so if you're looking at Southeast Asia's Gen AI scene, Singapore is the obvious giant, right? And for good reason. I mean, look at that. They've got 44% of the region's Gen AI startups. No surprise there. But take a closer look at this chart. The real story, the one that's catching everyone's eye, is that number 2 spot. That's Vietnam, with a whopping 27% of the startups. This isn't just about being in the race anymore. Vietnam is actually setting a new pace for the entire region. And let's be clear, this isn't just about playing second fiddle to Singapore. What we're seeing is Vietnam becoming the new center of gravity for Gen AI in Southeast Asia. This isn't some future forecast. This is what's happening on the ground right now. So the big questions are, how did this happen? What's fueling this incredible surge? And what does it all mean for the future of AI?
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at Vietnam's surprising rise. Then, we'll get into the numbers, the market size, and what's driving it. After that, we'll unpack the ecosystem, looking at both the foundation model layer and the competitive application layer. And finally, we'll look ahead to the future investment frontiers. Sound good? Let's go.
All right, Section 1, Vietnam's surprising rise. We've all seen that headline number, right? Vietnam as the number 2 player. But now let's get past the headlines and really unpack the data behind this incredible story.
Okay, let's move on and talk numbers. Specifically, the market size and its drivers. It's time to quantify the scale of this opportunity. What's the actual dollar value here? And what exactly is pouring fuel on this fire? Just look at these numbers for a second. The story they tell is pretty powerful. By 2025, we're talking about a market worth over $174 million. But honestly, that's just the warm-up. With a compound annual growth rate of over 41%, that's huge. We're looking at a market that's on track to be worth nearly $1 billion by 2030. This isn't just steady growth. This is a rocket ship.
So what's the secret sauce here? What's driving this momentum? Well, it really boils down to 2 key things. First, you've got incredibly favorable government support. We're talking a full-blown national AI strategy, innovation centers, and real investment in integrating AI into the public sector. They are all in. And second, you have this incredibly wide and deep talent pool. You know, Vietnam's reputation is shifting. It's no longer just an outsourcing hub. It's becoming a place that builds its own homegrown champions, and that's attracting top-tier talent from all over.
Okay, to really get a handle on the opportunities here, you have to understand how the market is structured. Think of the AI ecosystem as having 2 distinct layers. We're going to start at the very bottom, with the foundation model layer. This is the heavy lifting part, where the core large language models, the LLMs, are actually built. It's the domain of the giants. Here's a simple way to think about it. Foundation models are the engines, and Gen AI applications are the cars built around those engines. Building the engines? Well, that's incredibly capital intensive. It takes vast amounts of data and resources. That's why this space is dominated by Vietnam's corporate heavyweights, your FBTs, Vingroups, and VNGs. But building the cars, the applications, that's a different game. The barrier to entry is much lower, which means it's super competitive. And that is where the startups are thriving and fighting for their piece of the pie. And this is where things get really, really interesting. Of course, the big global models from places like OpenAI are being used, but the local players are coming on strong. I mean, we're seeing Vietnamese-developed LLMs like this one from Zalo AI that are now ranking as top-tier models specifically for understanding the Vietnamese language and culture. They're actually outperforming some of the global giants on their home turf. That is a total game changer, and it says everything about the level of talent we're seeing there. Okay, so we've been in the engine room. Now let's head out to the showroom. We're talking about the competitive application layer. This is where things get really exciting, where the rubber hits the road. It's where all those startups are competing and creating amazing things. When we talk about this application layer, you need to know about 2 main flavors, horizontal and vertical. A horizontal app is kind of like a Swiss Army knife. It's industry agnostic, think general marketing tools. It does a lot of things for a lot of different people. But a vertical app? That's more like a surgeon's scalpel. It is tailored to a very specific industry, like law or fashion or gaming. So this brings us to the key strategic question, especially if you're a founder or an investor. Where is the real promise? Where should you place your bets? Well, as this quote from CB Insights points out, it's probably not in building another general, horizontal tool. The real promise lies in building stickier solutions for specialized industries. And sticky is the key word here. We're talking about creating solutions that are so deeply integrated and so essential to a specific workflow that your customers simply can't operate without you. That's where the defensibility is. That's where the real value gets created.
All right, last section. Let's talk about the future. If specialization is the name of the game, where exactly are the next big investment frontiers? Let's pinpoint that next wave of opportunity.
This really is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? For every founder, for every investor listening, this is what it's all about. Where are those next massive opportunities in Gen AI? And the answer that's coming back loud and clear is that the future is not in building another broad general tool. It's in creating highly specific, automated expertise.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. The folks at Y Combinator have highlighted some high-potential areas, and the theme is unmistakable. It is all about specialization. First up, vertical AI agents. Think specialized AI for specific B2B industries. Next, AI-driven compliance and automating all those complex regulatory headaches. Then there's the idea of an AI personal staff, AI that can replicate the work of lawyers, accountants, even tutors. And this last one is mind-bending, B to A, or business-to-agent software. This is software built not for humans to use, but for other AI agents, a whole new paradigm.
So let's bring it all home. The takeaway here is that what's happening in Vietnam isn't just a fascinating regional story. It's a global one. The race isn't just about building AI in Vietnam anymore. With the government support, the incredible talent, and this laser focus on high-value applications, the race is on to build the next global AI champion from Vietnam. So the final thought I'll leave you with is this. It's no longer a question of if Vietnam will be a major player on the world stage. It's a question of when and who that champion will be.